well-meaning skeptic. As you may or may not be aware, there's a new Canadian federal election just around the corner. I both kind of enjoy them. I get a guilty pleasure out of them and also get so frustrated and tired from politics and elections, especially party politics and the goings-ons there. But regardless of how we feel about it, it's happening. And so I thought, being a proper Canuck myself, maybe this would be the right time to do a video regarding Canadian politics. Start with a kind of a brief overview, I guess, of how things have transpired in the recent months and years. The Federal Liberal Party, after almost even losing official party status after the election of 2011, then came back with a roaring revival in 2015 under Justin Trudeau, who increasingly got more and more unpopular with people, which I think is natural. I feel like I've been through enough elections now that I realize that just the longer anybody stays in power, the more frustrated people get, probably because life's a little unsatisfying and society's a little unsatisfying with how it's set up for most people. So I think inevitably we're going to get frustrated and tired of anybody that's there too long. But anyway, they won a couple majorities. Now they're in a minority government, meaning that an election can be called at any time as like a non-confidence kind of vote.
I move for a vote of no confidence in
Justin Trudeau
leadership.
Order! It was looking like Trudeau was so unpopular that the Liberals were doomed to lose the next election. It seemed like it was going to be a PC win, a progressive conservative landslide victory, led by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. But then I believe, was it late last year or early this year, Justin Trudeau stepped down as leader of the Liberals. They elected a new leader, Mark Carney. Polls last year were saying that the Liberals may have even lost official party status. They were going to lose that bad. And now things are turning around where the Liberals have shot up in the polls so much. Unprecedented is the word that I've heard bandied about around a lot of the local pundits and commentators. The gains the Liberals are getting will probably be at the expense of the Bloc and the NDP. But the Conservatives also seem to be losing a lot of traction as well because of probably a lot of things. But Donald Trump winning his second term and coming into office pretty much immediately, declaring trade war on, it seems like the whole world basically, but Canada being one of them, that caused quite a stir and upset a lot of Canadians actually, and brought a new sense of unity because of the tariffs and the trade wars and Trump and all the stuff that's been going on there. Generally, I think it's agreed that Poilievre was maybe trying to at least mimic a lot of Trump's tactics in terms of the sloganizing of things, the nicknaming other leaders and other politicians, and a lot of the grandiose rhetoric that Trump is known for. It seems like Poilievre was trying to take from the Trump playbook a little bit or mimic a little bit of those strategies. And maybe that was working for him before, but now that Trump has upset so many people in Canada, not looking so good for Poilievre to be resembling that style of politics. Now it's looking like the Liberals actually have a chance of getting a majority even. The tables will turn in unpredictable ways, so that's the exciting thing about it, I guess. Most polls are saying that the Liberals are going to win. It's looking like the NDP are in trouble. The Greens are doing what they do, just being green. The Bloc, they might take a hit too. I'll link in the description maybe several different sites that have all the party promises and platforms. You can get a more in-depth look at all the different parties. They have sites and things where you can take questionnaires and it'll suggest, judging by your values and your views on things, and you'd probably associate yourself or find yourself more at home with this party or that party. Maybe I'll link a couple of those fun questionnaire sites in the description as well. Generally, if you're looking at political spectrum, I personally like to think that individuals actually land more in a political kaleidoscope where it's all these different things mixing together. Because the more people I meet and the more of their political opinions I learn about, I find that people don't really fit that neatly. Right in the center of the spectrum, on the left, on the right, it's kind of like elements of left-wing views sprinkled in with some right-wing views and then some stuff in the middle. And, people are a mix, or some people don't fit at all. They kind of fall off that flat spectrum map. They've fallen off the edge of the world. Honestly, I like the kaleidoscope idea more. It's hard to box people in and label people because we're so complex, us humans, There's a lot of different reasons why people vote the way they do. And I think they're all legitimate. However people decide to vote in that moment makes sense to them, and who am I to say otherwise? Some people will vote based purely off their values. Others will do it more for strategic voting. They'd rather this one party not get in power, so they vote for the party that has the best chance of beating that other party. People might vote Liberal even though they don't necessarily share the same values because they think the Liberals will have a better chance of beating the Conservatives than, say, the Greens. Other people just, honestly need a an excuse to get their 10,000 steps in, so they took a walk to the polling booth and scratched a box at random. Some people will spite vote, I feel like, you know? It's not so much voting for this person, but against that other person, just to kind of stick it to them, you know? We all have our reasons. Even if you don't vote, or you abstain, scratch your ballot, whatever makes sense to you at the time. I don't believe in telling people that you should or shouldn't vote or how you should vote. Personally, I've voted in every provincial and federal election that I've been eligible for. I've never once felt like my vote counted, so you know, I can only get so excited about elections for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that I think until we get some kind of proportional representation to get out of this first past the post system we have now, where if 6,000 people vote for Party A and 5,999 people vote for Party B, the 6,000 votes get their candidate in, and those 5,999 votes are wasted, basically. Those ballots get burned up. They don't mean anything. Whereas under some kind of, you know, electoral reform and proportional representation, those votes, those almost 6,000 votes, could still go towards the overall amount of votes for each party, and then you could split the party seats up depending on the percentage of all the votes they get in every province and territory. I think that makes more sense. You'd feel like your voice counts a bit more. So I'm going to vote, but it's always felt a bit futile for me, unfortunately. So this was my pre-2025 This was my summary of all things about Canadian federal 2025 election. Of course, for a video like this, I'd love to hear your take down in the comments. I'll see you around, I'm sure. Peace.